Hi and welcome. My name is Rachel and I am the jewelry and watch expert at Brightco Jewelry and Watch Insurance. Today I'd like to congratulate you first off for beginning your engagement ring purchase, and then like to talk to you about the different ring styles that you can buy. So the first thing to talk about is what is the difference between a ring setting and a ring style? So there are a few main styles of engagement rings, like your classic, your traditional, your modern, maybe your vintage inspired. And the difference between those, which are the style, and the setting is the actual ring itself. So what pieces and elements of that ring, when it comes to metal components, diamond components, maybe gemstone components, what do those add up to create the individual ring setting and individual ring mounting? So now let's talk styles. What is a traditional and classic engagement ring style? These are going to be your classic solitaire rings that's going to be one diamond, really any shape, on just a singular band. Now these can have no diamonds on the side, or it can have diamonds on the side. Another pretty traditional and classic engagement ring is going to be your 3-stone. This can be 3 of the same shape in one ring. So the most common I would say is a round 3-stone, where you have a round center diamond and then 2 smaller round diamonds on either side of it. Nowadays, you can mix and match those 3 stones though and get the same classic and traditional look. The next engagement ring style is going to be a nature-inspired ring. Now, what is this? A nature-inspired ring is going to be a ring that has elements from nature. So we're talking floral motifs. Sometimes there can be leaf elements. Other times there are sort of viney, interwoven pieces of metal that look like vines. All of these can come together and create a very beautiful and nature-inspired engagement ring. The next is a timeless and romantic engagement ring. Now, what are these? So timeless really it's a great word to mean something that's not going to go out of style. So in a previous video, we had talked about a classic and traditional style. These pieces can also be timeless. Those are going to follow the tests of style changes throughout the time, and that's essentially how they get that name, timeless. When we add that romantic element to an engagement ring, what we find is sometimes they're a little spin off of those classic and traditional styles. They've got some swirl motifs and a few other things to add into it to give it just a hint of romance, even though it is that classic and traditional ring at the base of it. The next engagement ring style to talk about, which is actually very popular right now, are vintage-inspired and antique rings. Now, what's the difference here? An antique ring is going to be a ring that's actually physically old. So it might be from 1920s, or it might have been a grandmother's ring that was passed down. Something that is over, I would say, probably about 50 years old plus. More antique, we like to see, 100 years or so. A long time ago, those vintage pieces were exquisitely made. They had very fine detail, a lot of really intricacies within the piece, and they're beautiful. And so nowadays, if people like that style, like those motifs, they can get a vintage-inspired engagement ring. This is going to have a lot of engraving, some mill grain down the side, and a lot of these, they're typically in white gold or yellow gold, sometimes in platinum as well. All of these things are just copies of antique rings and antique styles from the past. Next up, we have the contemporary and modern engagement ring style. Contemporary and modern rings are going to be the same traditional ring styles that we've seen, just with a bit of a modern twist. So now what do I mean by this? We're going to see a lot of clean lines. A lot of contemporary and modern engagement rings are actually more fashion forward than they are traditional engagement ring styles. So you're going to see bigger, flashier, pieces that would typically in the past potentially have been a right hand ring that we're now bringing over onto our left hand ring finger. Our final engagement ring style is going to be the outgoing and stylish. This engagement ring is unique on its own because it's meant for a woman who's not afraid to be flashy and who's not afraid to show off a big piece. These are going to be larger center stones. These are going to be rings that have diamonds or engravings or no matter where you look on that ring, there's going to be some element of detail so that every point of the ring, it's beautiful no matter where you look. Best of luck on your engagement ring search. Thanks so much for stopping by.